السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي جعل الشمس والقمر حسبانا والنجم والشجر يسجدان، فضل زمانا على زمان كما فضل إنسانا على إنسان ومكانا على مكان، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا وأعلانا وأولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. Welcome to Quranic Arabic Academy, Arabic Grammar Made Easy, lesson number 13C. ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد رسولا. In this lesson we are going to understand the أنواع الفاعل, the types of fa'il in جملة فعلية. Understand the ضمير بارز, the apparent ضمير, the visible ضمير. Let's recap very quickly. In the past we have learned الجملة الاسمية. الجملة الاسمية has two parts. Number one مبتدا, number two خبر. مبتدا is generally معرفة, خبر is generally نكرة. مبتدا is مرفوع, خبر is also مرفوع. In النوع and in العدد, the خبر matches the مبتدا. We added a few things in الجملة الاسمية. For example, we can add فعل ناقص, which is كان وأخواتها. We can add إن وأخواتها. We can add أدوات الاستفهام, the حروف الاستفهام and the أسماء الاستفهام. When we add كان وأخواتها, كان does his job. كان leaves the مبتدا as it is in مرفوع case, and كان does عمل on خبر and it takes to منصوب case. إن وأخواتها, إن does its own عمل. إن takes the مبتدا into منصوب case and it is called اسم إن, and خبرs remain the same مرفوع and it is called خبر إن. The حرف الاستفهام or the حروف الاستفهام, there's only two of them, which is the hamza a and hal. They don't do any عمل. The مبتدا remains as مبتدا, خبر remains as خبر. Also the أسماء الاستفهام, they don't do any عمل as well. So the أسماء الاستفهام, because they are isms, they will have a slot which will be the مبتدا or sometimes it can be خبر. Then we started الجملة الفعلية. We've said جملة الفعلية normally it will have two parts. First is فعل itself, فعل itself, and number two is فاعل, فاعل. So minimum for الجملة الفعلية is these two minimum, which is the فعل and the فاعل. And the إعراب of فاعل is always مرفوع. إعراب الفاعل is always in مرفوع case. Then we can add many things to جملة الاسمية. For example, we can add the object which is called the direct object, which is called مفعول به, مفعول به. And the إعراب مفعول به is منصوب, منصوب. As we can see, we can add many things in جملة الفعلية, and the rest of the things, whatever we add, all of them will be in mansub case. In جملة الفعلية, it is only the fa'il is in marfu case. The rest will be in mansub. The other thing we added is maf'ulun bihi thanin, the second maf'ul. Some fi'l requires two maf'uls. So maf'ulun bihi awwal and maf'ulun bihi thanin. And because it is one of the rest of the thing, it will be in mansub case. We started learning al-fi'l al-madi, and fi'l al-madi in terms of Arabs, in terms of the mu'rab and mabni. So fi'l madi will be fi'l al-madi, types of fi'l. Okay? Which fi'ls are going to be mabni and which fi'ls are going to be mu'rab. So we've learned in the past the three types of fi'l, al-fi'l al-madi, then we've learned al-fi'l al-mudari', and we've learned fi'l al-amri. So in terms of fi'l, mabni will be fi'l al-madi and fi'l al-amr, and mu'rab it is only al-fi'l al-mudari'. فعل الماضي مبني. فعل الماضي can be مبني on three things. Number one is مبني على الفتح. Number two مبني على الضم. Number three مبني على السكون. In the previous lessons we've done when فعل ماضي is مبني على الفتح. In the coming lessons we'll be learning when فعل الماضي is مبني على الضم or مبني على السكون. Right. The أنواع الفاعل, the types of fa'il, we've learned in الجملة الفعلية is two types. One is ضمير مستتر, another one is ضمير بارز. So let's recap very quickly what we've learned. ضمير مستتر, and there are only two. Two ضميrs are always mustatir. If there is no ism ظاهر in the sentence, if there is no ism as the fa'il in the sentence, then the damir will be mustatir. And number two, damirun barizun, which is apparent, visible damirs. So damirun mustatirun are two, which is huwa, and which is number two here. Damirun barizun in today's lesson, this is what we're going to learn, the second types of damir. So these damirs are called ad-damir al-marfu al-muttasil, because these damirs will be attached and they are called marfu. They will be in rafa case. They will be in, or they are in rafa case. This is why. And this type of damir, it is only used with al-fi'l al-madi, nothing else. Let's go through the rules of al-jumlatul fi'liyah too. Some fi'l require an object to complete the sentence. It means some jumlatun fi'liyatun must have three parts: the verb, the subject, and the object. So those fi'l require object, it will be three parts. Those fi'ls do not require objects, so it will be only two parts. The subject is called the fa'il doer. The i'rab of fa'il is marfu', as we've learnt. The object is called maf'ulun bihi, the direct object. The maf'ulun bihi is a direct object, is the thing or person that is affected by the action of the verb. So any ism we see in jumlatul fi'liyah in mansub case, first think, does the action of the person affected on this ism? If the action of the person affected in this ism, then it will be maf'ulun bihi. And any ism we see in jumla fi'liya in mansub case, and the action of the person has no effect on that ism, then this cannot be maf'ulun bihi. There's going to be other things we're going to add later on. Okay. The i'rab maf'ulun bihi is mansub. Some fa'il or some fail require two maf'uls, two objects, and the second object is called maf'ulun bihi thaniyan, and the i'rab of maf'ulun bihi thaniyan is also mansub. Here we've learned anwa'ul fa'il, the types of fa'il. There are two types of fa'il. One is called ismun dhahirun, which is the noun in the sentence, the doer coming as a noun. Number two, damirun. The fa'il comes as a pronoun. So all the examples we had so far, the fa'il were ismun dhahirun. And it is only the last lesson we started doing the fa'il as a damir. The fa'il can also be a damir. If the fa'il is a damir, it can be one of the two. Number one, damirun mustatirun, hidden damir. Number two, damirun barizun, apparent damir. And we already learned the first one, damirun mustatirun. If there is no ism dhahir in the sentence that we can make the fa'il, then we have to go back to the damir and look for damirun mustatirun. If the fail is mudhakkar on the scale of fa'ala, the damir mustatir will be huwa. And if the fail is muannath, it is on the scale of fa'alat, and the damirun mustatirun is here. Damirun mustatirun. So we went through this. What is damir mustatir? Okay. So in full i'rab, for the damirun mustatirun, we say jawazan. Okay. So damirun mustatirun jawazan. It means it is allowed to bring damirun as the file. So the damirun mustatirun is allowed to bring this damir as the file, because there is no ism dhahir in this sentence, and fail must have a fa'il. So this is why we have to bring the damir as the fa'il. Right, these are the verbs we have learned so far. The three groups. Okay, we can say the first group on the right, it is the nasara group. The first verb I have is nasara. We'll call this nasara group. Second group is the fataha. We call them fataha group. And the third box we have the daraba. This is daraba group. Okay, daraba group. Learn these verbs if you haven't learned it. These are all Quranic verbs. It will help you and will become easy later on. All right. So sorry, I was going to add the next group, which is the Samia group, because I didn't have enough time, so I couldn't add it. So maybe in the next lesson, I will add the group of Samia. So Samia means to hear. Samia means to hear. So that means we have, in this slide, we have another 3 boxes. That means we're going to have another 3 groups. So in fail, if we can remember these 6 groups, it will help us later on to figure out all the harakat on each letter. So let's start with ad-damirul barizu, apparent pronoun. There are 12. No, there should be 10, not 12. Ad-damirul barizu. So change that. 12. Sorry, 10. Because I was counting the 2 damir mustatir as well. So if we take damir mustatir out, so damir al-bariz will be 10. That is attached to al-fi'l al-madi. Right? So these ad-damir al-bariz is only attached to a fi'l madi. What are they? Number 1, we call it aliful ithnaini. Aliful ithnaini. It tells us the meaning. This alif is used for dual. Aliful ithnaini. And that is the alif. Ad-damir al-bariz, because we can see it, is visible. It is called ad-damir al-bariz. Number 2, waw al-jama'ati. The waw for plural. Waw for plural, or plural waw. So this waw will give us the meaning of plural. It is called wawul jama'ati. This is how it will be visible when we attach to al-fi'l al-madi. Okay. Mainly is the waw. In writing, we write the alif with it. Number 3, noonun niswati. This noon is called noon an-niswa. So this noon will tell us it is the plural of muannas. So wawul jama'a is the plural of mudhakkar. Noon an-niswa is plural of muannas. Okay? Noon an-niswa. Next is ta'ul fa'ili. Ta'ul fa'ili. There's a group of ad-damir al-bariz. This damir starts with ta. This is why they are called ta'ul fa'ili. Ta'ul fa'ili. Let's see how many of them. So ta with the fatha, number 1. Ta with the kasra, number 2. Ta with the dhamma, number 3. Tuma, number 4. Tum, number 5. And tunna, number 6. So these groups, this group is called ta'ul fa'ili, because we can see all starts with the ta. So this ta itself with the fatha, and ta with the kasra, ta with the dhamma. Tuma starts with the ta. Tum starts with the ta. Tunna starts with a ta. So these are called ta'ul fa'ili. So far, how many ad-damir al-bariz we have? So aliful ithnain, number 1. Wawul jama'ati, number 2. Noonun niswati, number 3. And ta'ul fa'ili, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9. 1 alif, واو جماعة 2, نون نسوة 3, 4 تا 4, تا with the كسرة 5, تا with the ضمة 6, أنتما 7, تم 8, تنا 9. So next we have na الفاعلين. na الفاعلين. It is plural. فاعلين is plural. So this na will also give us a plural meaning when we add to الفعل الماضي. Now adding the to الضمير المستتر, total we have, count them again, 9, isn't it? 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10. So if we add a damir al mustatir to damir who and here, so total becomes 12. Total damir can be attached to al fi'l al madi is 12. 2 is mustatir and 10 are bariz. Now we're going to add all this ad-damir al-bariz, and they are called ad-damir al-marfu al-muttasil. Ad-damir al-marfu al-muttasil. Marfu because they will come in place of marfu, and muttasil because they will be attached to al-fi'l al-madi. Because remember, all damirs are mabni, all damirs are mabni, and they are ism. Because they are ism, so they will have their own slots, their own slot. So this damir slot is the fa'il in the sentence. So alif is the fa'il, waw is the fa'il, the noon niswa is the fa'il, ta'ul fa'ili, all of them are fa'il, and the na al fa'ilin is also fa'il in the sentence. Okay. Now let's attach these damirs to a fi'l al-madi. Let's see how many forms we have. There are 12 sighatun, plural, siyagun of al-fi'l al-madi. What is a sigha? So siyagul fi'l al-madi, forms of past tense. So sigha is a form. One form is called sigha. So we have 12 siyagun in the for al-fi'l al-madi. The fi'l al-madi has 12 forms. If we add those damir al-marfu al-muttasil. So let's add one by one and let's see. First is mudhakkarun ghaibun, third person masculine. Third person. Suppose we want to say he did, they did, dual, and they did, plural. So this is called mudhakkarun ghaibun. You have only, should be two dhammas. Mudhakkarun ghaibun. Third person masculine. So al-mufrad, which is al-mufrad, a singular mufrad. So if we take a verb, let's take a verb. We can take a verb, for example, let's take jalasa. Sorry. Here. change. Jalasa. Okay. This is the default verb al-mufrad. Jalasa. So if we have no ism ظاهر in the sentence, we have to make ضمير مستتر تقديره هو جلس. Next, المثنى. So how do we make الفعل الماضي مثنى؟ جلس. Okay, this is the المفرد. We want to make it مثنى. Now here we need to add ألف الاثنين. The ضمير ألف الاثنين. When we add ألف الاثنين, it becomes جلس. So this is the الضمير البارز. You can see is visible. Now next one is الجمع مذكر غائب. جمع مذكر غائب. Third person masculine plural. So let's take the default which is جال. جلس. How do we make الماضي جمع? We need to add واو الجماعة. واو الجماعة. If we add واو الجماعة, alif is added. Okay. Now here one thing remember, واو الجماعة demands dhamma before it. واو الجماعة demands dhamma before it. So the last letter of the verb is the sin. We add dhamma before it. Now we have جمع مذكر غائب. جلسوا. جلسوا. Sometimes you may see the waw will have a sukun. We know this waw is waw al-jama'a, so there's no need to write the sukun. Or if you want, you can write the sukun, no problem. But remember to prolong a little bit. Jalasu. So this waw is ad-damir al-bariz. You can see is visible. الضمير المرفوع المتصل. Next, مؤنث غائب. Third person feminine. We've learned how to make فعل ماضي مؤنث. This is the مذكر form of it. We want to make it مؤنث. What do we need to add? Yes. التاء الساكنة. التاء الساكنة. جلست. is مفرد. المثنى. So we take exactly the same one. جلست. We need to make this what? المثنى. We need to add ألف الاثنين. Let's add ألف الاثنين. That is ألف الاثنين. Now this ألف الاثنين demands فتحة before it. Okay, as we said in here, المثنى المذكر. So it already has the فتحة before it, but over here we need to add the فتحة before it because ألف الاثنين demands فتحة before it. So it becomes جلستا. So this ألف is ألف الاثنين. الجمع مؤنث غائب. الجمع مؤنث غائب. We need to add نون النسوة to make the مؤنث plural. Now, when we add a نون النسوة, the last letter of verb becomes ساكن. Last letter of verb becomes ساكن. جلس. The last letter of all verbs becomes ساكن when we add نون النسوة. This is the نون النسوة becomes جلسنا. جلسنا. So these are the 6 forms of third person. 3 for مذكر, مفرد, مثنى, جمع, and 3 for مؤنث, مفرد, مثنى, جمع. Now let's go through these 6 forms. جلس. As soon as we say جلس is مفرد مذكر. جلس, the alif is for dual. المثنى مذكر. And جلسوا, the واو is واو الجماعة, جمع مذكر غائب. جلست مفرد مؤنث غائب. جلستا, the alif is ألف الاثنين, so مثنى مؤنث غائب. And جلسنا جمع مؤنث غائب. So we've added ألف الاثنين to make it الفعل الماضي dual. We've added واو الجماعة to make it فعل ماضي plural مذكر. We've added نون نسوة to make it جمع مؤنث غائب. Okay, and that's it so far. All you have to have in your head the ألف الاثنين, واو الجماعة, and نون النسوة. So if I give you any fi'l, you can make these 6 forms. جلس, جلسا, جلسوا, جلست, جلستا, جلسنا. Let's take another verb. فتح. فتح, add ألف الاثنين, فتحا, add واو الجماعة, فتحوا. مؤنث فتحت, add ألف الاثنين, فتحتا, add نون النسوة, فتحنا. Okay, so let's move on to next 6 forms of الفعل الماضي. مذكر مخاطب, second person masculine. Second person, you are speaking to someone, you are addressing someone, called second person. In Arabic it's called مخاطب. Again we have al-mufrad. So what we need to add here, we need to add تاء الفاعل. تاء الفاعل. And how many are they? So تا with the fatha 1, تا with the kasra 2, تا with the dhamma 3, tuma 4, tum 5, and tunna 6. So these 6 damirs are used for mukhatab. And when we add ta'ul fa'il, the last letter of al-madi, sakin, comes sakin. Jalas. Okay. So the mufrad will be ta. Ta. Jalasta. المفرد. مثنى Again, we need to add the alif to make it muthanna. So before that, we need to add the ta, isn't it? To show it is mukhatab. This is the ta, and this ta will be dhamma. And we add the ma here, the meme, then we add the alif. Becomes an alif demands fatha before it. The fatha there. Jalastuma, jalastuma, and al-jama, jalas. We need to add the tum to make it. Jalastum. So these are the three forms of fi'l madi, mudhakkar, mukhatab, second person masculine. Jalasta, jalastuma, jalastum. Next we have muannas mukhatab. Jalas. Now to make this muannas with the kasra ti, jalasti, jalasti, mufrad. Al-muthanna, jalastuma, the same as mudhakkar. Jalastuma, because it's ta'ul fa'il. This is the ta'ul fa'il, and the alif or the mim alif is for muthanna. Then we have a jama. What do we add for jama? Tum, jalastum. So these six are called ta'ul fa'il. Sorry, five, because we're using one for both. So jalasta, ta is the ta'ul fa'il. Jalastuma, again, ta is the ta'ul fa'il. The mim and alif is to show its muthanna. And jalastum, ta is the fa'il. The mim is to show is jama. The mim is showing jama. Jalastum. Jalasti, ta with the kasra is showing feminine, mufrad. Jalastuma, again the ta is ta'ul fa'il, and the mim and alif is showing is muthanna. And sorry, we need to add the niswa, isn't it? Not niswa, to make the fi'l madi jama muannas. We need a tunna. Jalastunna. The ta is the ta'ul fa'il. The noon mushadda is showing as jama muannas. So these are the six forms for mukhatab. Jalasta, jalastuma, jalastum, jalasti, jalastuma, jalastunna. So what we're adding is the ad-damir al-marfu al-muttasil, and because we can see them is visible, they are called ad-damir al-bariz. So we add alif al-ithnain, then we add waw al-jama'ah, then we add noon al-niswa, then we add ta'ul fa'il, which is ta, ti, tu, tuma, tum, tunna. Then we add na al-fa'ilin, na al-fa'ilin. Okay, next slide. is mutakallim. Mutakallim. First person, masculine or feminine. We use only one sigha, one form for first person, masculine or feminine. It's called mutakallim, the speaker. So al-mufrad, mudhakkar, and al-muannas. Jalas, over here we need to add the ta al-fa'il, which is tu. Jalastu is ta'ul fa'il. So we add ta'ul fa'il in the 6 forms of al-mukhatab and in 1 form of mutakallim. We add ta'ul fa'il in the 6 forms of mukhatab and 1 form of mutakallim. It becomes jalastu. Next, al-muthanna and jama, mudhakkar and muannas. We use one sigha for all muthanna or jama, mudhakkar and muannas. So here we need to add the na al-fa'ilin. Jalas, na al-fa'ilin. Jalasna. So jalastu and jalasna. So let's very quickly, let's go back. Let's go back and see the all 12 sigas. Now will be 14 sigas, isn't it? 14 sigas of al-fi'l madi. The 2 will be الضمير المستتر and the rest 10 will be, total is 12 because we're using the alif al-muthanna twice in ghaib and also alif al-muthanna twice in al-mukhatab. The total becomes 14. So jalasa, to make it al-muthanna, add alif al-ithnain, jalasa. To make it jama, add waw al-jama'a, jalasu. The feminine form, jalasat. To make it muthanna, add the alif al-ithnain, jalasata. The alif demands fatha before it. And for this one, jama mudhakkar, waw demands dhamma before it. And then to make jama muannas, add noon and niswa, jalasna. Jalasa, jalasa, jalasu, jalasat, jalasata, jalasna. Next we have the mukhatab, mudhakkar, al-mufrad, jalasta. Over here we're adding ta'ul fa'il. Jalasta, jalastuma, jalastum, jalasti, jalastuma, jalastunna. And over here we have mutakallim, al-mufrad, mudhakkar and muannas, jalastu, and muthanna, jama, mudhakkar, muannas, jalasna. So these are the 14 sighas of al-fi'l al-madi when there is no ism dhahir in the sentence. Now, ism dhahir only can be with the first 2 forms, the mudhakkar and the muannas. And the rest, because they are already baris, the rest of the forms cannot have ism dhahir in the sentence, because they already have fa'il built in. So the alif الاثنان is the file, built-in file. واو الجماعة is the file built-in. Nun al-Niswa, the file already there built-in. So these forms cannot have ism zahir as the file, because one file cannot have two files. So when we add ta'ul file for the mukhatab, these are the files. Zahir, sorry, bariz, parent. And when we add for mutakallim, ta'ul file, this is the file. When we add to make it jama, mudhakkar wa muannas, muthanna wa jama mutakallim, the noon is the file. Na is the file. So we'll be doing i'rab of all these sigas one by one in the next lesson. But before we finish, there's a few things. Let's do the i'rab of the alif al-ithnain. Okay, alif al-ithnain, because we are still on al-fa'l al-madi mabni ala al-fath. So let's finish al-fa'l al-madi mabni ala al-fath. Then we can move on to al-fa'l al-madi mabni ala al-sukun. Then we can move on the fa'l madi mabni ala al-dam. Or first mabni ala al-dam, then we can do mabni ala al-sukun. So fataha, because over here the last letter still has a fatha, it will be mabni ala al-fath. So the alif here is alif al-ithnain. We added to make fa'l madi dual. So fataha, can this verb have noun as the fa'il? Can this verb, the sigha, and this sigha of fa'l madi can have, I did not see some of your messages because I was busy and concentrating the 14 forms of al-fa'l madi. Can we have ism zahir as the fa'il with this sigha? No, because the file is already built in. We can see it is ad-damir al-bariz, which is the alif. It cannot have ism zahir. Ism zahir comes only with first two sigas on the scale of fa'ala and on the scale of fa'alat. The rest of the sigas, ism zahir cannot come because the file is already built in. So here we already have fa'al and fa'il. All we need is, because fataha requires a maf'ul bihi, we have maf'ulun bihi. Fatahal baba. Fatahal baba. So in pronunciation, it seems like fataha a mufrad. But when we see in writing, it is dual. Fatahal baba. And when you have a conversation, the context will tell you it is the mufrad or al-muthanna. So fatahal baba. Let's do the tarkib. Fa'il and fa'il, and the alif is the fa'il, and al-bab is maf'ulun bihi. Let's translate. They both male opened the door. They both male opened the door. Fatahal baba. So the i'rab will be fataha فعل ماض مبني على الفتح الظاهر, because we still can see the fatha is apparent on the ha. لا محل له من الإعراب. Then والألف, we need to do the i'rab of alif. والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل. ضمير متصل مبني على السكون. Remember, all the mirs are mabni. All the mirs are mabni. And we've learned in the previous lessons, the alif, always it mabni ala sukun. Then what is the slot? في محل رفع. Why is in the place of rafa? Because it's fa'il. فاعل. So والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. This ضمير is becoming the فاعل. Next, الباب, we've done it, is مفعول به. No change here. الباب مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصب الفتحة الظاهرة على آخره. Understood? When we have الفعل الماضي المثنى, how to do the Arab? We do the Arab of فعل itself, then we need to do the Arab of the fa'il. Let's move on. Let's do the muannas one. فتحتا, muannas dual. Still this فعل is مبني على الفتح, because we can see the on the last letter of فعل the fatha is visible. So مبني على الفتح. So فتحتا, the alif is alif al-muthanna. Over here we cannot have ism ظاهر as the fa'il, because the fa'il is already built in. النوافذ as a مفعول به. النوافذ. تركيب, again same, فتحتا فعل or فاعل, the alif is the fa'il and النوافذ مفعول به. Translation, they both female opened the windows. نافذة, window, جمع نوافذ. فتحت النوافذ, they both opened the windows. Now if look at the صيغة here, فتحتا, over here we need to do 3 Arabs. Number 1 is the fi'l itself. Number 2, remember ta'u sakina, we need to do the Arab of ta'u sakina. Then we need to do the Arab of alif al-ithnain. So remember, this ta is ta'u sakina, because alif al-ithnain demands fatha before it. This is why we have to put the fatha. Otherwise, the ta is a ta'u sakina to show it is muannas. Arab, فتحتا فعل ماض مبني على الفتح الظاهر لا محل له من الإعراب. والتاء تاء التأنيث الساكنة حرف لا محل له من الإعراب. والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون في محل رفع فاعل. أن النوافذ مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصب الفتحة الظاهرة على آخره. Right. Only 2 more examples left. Very important. Let's look at that as well. فعل ناقص. When we add فعل ناقص and adding those الضمير البارز, how to do the Arab? So كان, over here the alif is alif الاثنين مجتهدين. Remember, كان comes on جملة الاسمية, جملة اسمية. It will be جملة اسمية. But how we do the Arab when الضمير المرفوع المتصل comes with كان وأخواتها. Translation or the تركيب, كان فعل ناقص والألف اسم كان. ألف الب والألف over here, okay? والألف اسم كان. Or you can say just ألف وألف اسم كان. مجتهدين خبر كان. The translation, both men were hardworking. The Arab, look at this very carefully. كان فعل ناقص مبني على الفتح الظاهر لا محل له من الإعراب والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون اسم كان. اسم كان. For normal fail it will be في محل رفع فاعل. But for the كان وأخواتها it will be اسم كان. If we have صار اسم صار. If we have ليس اسم ليس. So الألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون اسم كان. And the مجتهدين, remember the كان does عمل خبر, it takes into منصوب case. So مجتهدين خبر كان منصوب وعلامة نصبه الياء لأنه المثنى. Now let's do the example of oneness. كانتا. And over here we need to do 3 i'rab. Fail itself, the ta, and then the alif. كانتا قائمتين. فعل ناقص. Examples. كانتا قائمتين. So again, فعل ناقص وألف اسم كان and قائمتين خبر كان. Translation, they both female were standing. They both female were standing. In the Arab كان فعل ناقص مبني على الفتح الظاهر لا محل له من الإعراب والتاء تاء التانيث الساكنة حرف لا محل له من الإعراب والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون اسم كان. اسم كان. And then قائمتين مفعول sorry should be خبر كان. To make it easy. Okay. So كان فعل ناقص مبني على الفتح الظاهر لا محل له من الإعراب والتاء تاء التانيث الساكنة حرف لا محل له من الإعراب والألف ألف الاثنين ضمير متصل مبني على السكون اسم كان. قائمتين خبر كان منصوب وعلامة نصبه will be the same as here. ياء. قائمتين خبر كان منصوب وعلامة نصبه الياء لأنه مثنى. همزة نكرة. Okay. You have seen the last slide, so you know. All right, so this is the end of lesson 13C. Again, the lesson was a little long. Inshallah, what we've learned, we've added ad-damir al-baris, that those damirs are visible in the al-fi'l al-madi, and these damir are called ad-damir al-marfu'u al-muttasilu. They are alif al-ithnain, waw al-jama'ah, nun al-niswa, تاء الفاعل الناء الفاعلين. Again, ألف الاثنين واو الجماعة نون النسوة تاء الفاعل, and there are six: تا, تي, تو, تما, تم, تن, النا, الفاعلين. Inshallah, in the next lesson we will see how we can do the i'rab of these damir al-baris when it comes on they come with al-fi'lul madi, inshallah. If it's the first time and you did not understand the 14 forms of al-fi'l al-madi, again you need to see this video again and again and go through the notes, and inshallah you will understand. We ask Allah to give us the ability and the tawfiq and the more zeal and more liking towards Arabic grammar, so we can understand the Quran. We ask Allah to forgive our shortcomings. We ask Allah, whatever mistake we have done in this majlis, in this lesson, Allah to forgive us. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.